Good evening, everyone. Oh, good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're all having a great Wednesday, and I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order, starting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Facing the colors, hands on your heart. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Director Quady. Roll call, please.
Director Quady?
Here.
Director McMillan? She's currently in the attendee list. We need to promote her to panelist. Okay, I'll come back to her. Director Pacala?
Yes.
Director Robert?
Yes.
Director Avila?
Here.
And Director McMillan?
Aye, yes.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, we have quorum. And item 2, public comments. This portion of the agenda may be utilized. Well, do we have?
We have no members of the public
We don't have
online
members
or
of
in
the
person, so I think we can just skip over that part.
Skip that. Item 3, presentations. Presentation of the Claire A. Hill Award for the Calleguas Las Virgenes Interconnect.
Yes, I am thrilled to announce, as the board already knows and everyone present, but we'll say it one more time, that Calleguas won the Claire A. Hill Award along with Las Virgenes at the Aqua Conference. Fernando, our manager of engineering, has a very brief presentation. And then we've got some of the project team here. And we would like to do a little celebration before we move on with the rest of the business for today.
Excellent. Good afternoon, directors. It is my pleasure, my honor to present the board the 2025 winner plaque for the Claire A. Hill Award by Aqua JPIA that was awarded to the Las Virgenes Calleguas interconnection last week. So I do have a quick presentation, but I will pass this around for everyone to take a look at this award. So as I mentioned, the project was awarded this award last week for its commitment to excellence. And I have a couple photos I'll go over. There is the award there in this photo, but I'll start off with this photo here. This is a photo of the senior project manager, Cesar Romero, who's here. This is his office. This is one of his corner office space, and he set up a cot during construction, specifically during a very critical portion of the construction work that involved tying into the Lindero feeder. During this work, the Triunfo Water and Sanitation District service area was going to be without water. So Cesar, because again, commitment to excellence, thank you.
Well, they were going to have to float off their tanks. They weren't going to have no water. We weren't going to be able to deliver.
We're not going to be able to deliver. So during this time, Cesar was in his office entire weekend, available to respond to any issues at all hours of the day and night. So again, I just wanted to start with that photo.
That is a photo of commitment.
That is. So again, this is a photo of the actual work that was happening that weekend. As you can see, the contractor at the bottom was flying over the T that was being cut and installed into the existing Lindero feeder. Upper right corner shows the excavation at the intersection of Lindero and Canaan Road. So a lot of work going on. This entire work was done over, I think, 5 weekends, spaced out over 2.5 months. So it was not a quick operation, but it was certainly planned out and completed without any impacts to our service to Triunfo Water and Sanitation District. And again, just another couple photos here of the pump station. The bottom is the construction. You can see there was a bathtub that was forming. So construction continued even when it was raining. We did have to wait till some of the sites dried out, but eventually we were able to complete the project. Here's some photos on the upper portion of this slide showing the inside of the pump station room. So I want to thank the entire team, beginning with our senior project manager, Cesar Romero, if he can take a stand up. Cesar was, again, committed to delivering this project. He was instrumental in the completion of this project, a very complex project that was delivered because of his, again, commitment, dedication, and hard work to this project. Tim Powers, another senior project manager that came along in the middle of construction to assist Caesar with all things electrical. And I don't see him in the room, but he will be around. Greg Sadie, if you would please stand up. One of our construction inspectors that was also instrumental in making sure that the project was completed. He was focused on the pipeline as well as the relocation of one of the meter stations that serve, the meter station that serves Tarantula Water and Sanitation District. Jamal Holtz, please stand up. Another construction inspector. He was tasked with oversight of the construction of the pump station for most of the project. Big Thompson. Our electrical construction inspector, our newest inspector, added to the team. And he was again also instrumental along with one of our electrical consulting inspectors to make sure that all the wires were connected to the right location and not crossed. Sean Stillwell, Sean and Steve Lazar, who's not here, two other construction inspectors that also supported our regular inspectors at the job site on this project. They were also instrumental in providing some respite to our inspectors when they were out sick, on vacation, or just off. So thank you to Sean as well. And of course, our administrative team, Janae Zimmerman and Megan Nielsen, who of course supported the project managers and the inspectors. So kudos to them for helping us get through this project. And of course, our water resources department, who assisted us during the CEQA process. And of course, the fun portion of construction where we had to, of course, do public outreach and respond to concerns and comments from the public. And last but certainly not least, our O&M department, who again was essential in supporting construction because there were several shutdowns and dewatering events, recharging of the pipeline that had to be performed. And O&M, of course, was there right along to support the project. And thank you to all of them as well. So with that, that is my presentation.
Maybe cut it for the folks who might not stick around the whole meeting,
Let's do a picture.
and we can do that.
Sure.
We can do a picture with the cake and the award. Can we have a volunteer from the crowd? We don't have either Kat or Charlotte tonight, who are our classic photo takers. No, you are in the photo, Amanda. Let's be there.
The people too, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Project team.
They said no. Yeah, like, that's not. And the important part. Yeah. No, only the awards that came. No. Yeah.
All right, thank you, everyone, and thank you, staff for a great job. Item 4 is items to be added to the agenda. Do we have any items to be added to the agenda? None. Consent calendar. Has, the board had time to review the consent calendar, or would anybody like any items pulled?
Well, I'm not suggesting we pull any items, but I have questions on item 5B.
5B, okay, let's.
I reviewed minutes, I'm fine with it.
Okay,
But, as far as I'm concerned, I'm.
okay, let's go ahead with 5B.
5B?
Jennifer's online. She's
Oh,
at the
Jennifer's
Aqua J.
online.
Yeah, she's online. Both she and Charlotte are online today. They're at the Aqua JPIA leadership training.
Well, these are very simple questions, just mainly for my information. How was RFP circulated? And to how many consultants did we circulate the RFPs?
Jennifer, there you go. I see her on mute.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay, perfect. We circulated the RFP to a list of approximately, I'd have to go back and check, but it was somewhere around 8 consultants that we know do urban water management plans. And we also posted it on the California Association of Environmental Professionals. They have an RFP board, and we posted it to our website as well.
Thank you. Very good outreach. Thank you. We have received only 2 proposals. So who is the other consultant who submitted the proposal?
So we got a proposal from Kennedy Jenks as well as WSC. And both are consultants that we've worked with in the past, and both are very, very qualified. And so ultimately the choice came down to cost.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that information. And when is WSC scheduled to complete the report? How many months?
Well, the report is due to DWR on July 1st, 2026. So our hope was to kick off with the consultant in June, and we will be working on that. There's a lot of coordination and data gathering and crunching that we have to do for the project. So it does take a while. But our goal would be to have a draft circulated for public review, probably in the April 2026 timeframe, because ultimately your board would need to review and approve that document before it can be submitted to the state. And we would want to make sure we do that in plenty of time so that we can make that July 1st deadline.
Yeah, it's good to see that Calleguas purveyors have an opportunity to use Calleguas process if they choose to. If they select to choose our process, I think it'll help them to save time and money.
Yes.
Glad to see that there. And the last question I have is, Jennifer, do you know if MWD prepares urban water management plans and updates?
Yes, they do. I believe they do most of it in-house, but we do have extensive coordination with Metropolitan because we use a lot of data that they provide us, and then we have to provide them a lot of data for their projections. And so there's a lot of coordination both with Met as well as with our retailers to get the whole picture.
Yes, very good. Thank you very much for answering all my questions.
And your purveyors do the same thing.
That's right.
Use your data.
That's right. So we do try to prepare ours a little bit earlier so that we can provide that information to our retailers that they need to use in preparing their own urban water management plan. So there's a lot of moving parts and things that different entities need from each other.
Perfect. Any other questions, comments?
5C.
5C?
Yeah, I just wanted to insert. This is it's an important one, at least to me anyway. But
Okay, go ahead.
I want to parrot what's already in the packet. I see this is a use of a new partner and senior manager for audit oversight to comply with recommended practices of both the GFOA and the State Controller's Office. This one, I feel that's really important to bring that out. So thank you, staff.
Welcome.
Digging into that. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Quady. Thank you, Director Pacala. Do we have anything else for the consent calendar? If not,
I
looking
make
for
a motion to approve consent agenda.
Okay, first. Second, roll call, please.
Director Quady,
Aye.
Director McMillan,
Aye.
Director Pacala,
Yes.
Director Roberts, Director Avila.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Thank you, everybody. Moving on to the action items,
Which we have none tonight.
which we have none tonight. Reports. General manager and staff reports, item 1, April 2025, water use and sales, March 2025. Okay, Dan Smith.
Right. Good evening, directors. Tonight we have the water and use of sales for April. So looking at for the month sold in April, we sold 5,683 acre feet of water and we had budgeted 5,660. So it was right where we expected it to be or wanted it to be. So we're still looking really good as far as the budget goes. So for the year, we've sold 62,218 acre feet and the budget for this time period is 59,260. So overall, we are still on pace to do about 76,000 acre feet of water sales this year. And which is more than we budgeted, which is good. We budgeted 73,000. So we are definitely having more water sales than we anticipated. To kind of give you a snapshot, you can see that over for the first 10 months of the budget year, we've really been at or above the water sales budget for almost every month, except for 2. And over the last 12, you can see that we've definitely been doing better than we had done in the past because the last few years it's been way off. And so we're catching back up and water sales are looking right where they should be. To kind of give you a breakdown of the metropolitan bill, we had total water sales of almost $8 million. We did put a little bit of water into storage again this year or this month to the tune of 166,000. We always have a reconciliation adjustment as the water is flowing back and forth between the metropolitan and Calleguas. So there's always an adjustment that we show on here to get to the total water purchased from metropolitan at $8 million, a little over. Then once we add in the monthly CRC and the RTS for Metropolitan, we did pay Metropolitan for a little bit of conservation money that was on our bill for some programs that they have that our customers have taken advantage of. And we had $710 going toward the turf replacement still out there in little bits of money. And they're still grabbing a little bit at a time to bring us to the total water bill of just over $9 million. Look at SMP discharge for the month of April. We had 33.2 acre feet in discharge. We had budgeted 78. Brings our total to 592.93 acre feet of discharge. So we're still behind. Camarillo and Camarosa are back online. So I'm expecting it to increase a little bit as we go forward for the rest of the year. It's just not where we had still anticipated. So it's still being below budget. Looking at power generation, we brought in $17,400. We had only budgeted about 15,000. So again, we brought a little bit of extra, which was good. We generated a little extra. For the year, we're pretty close right at budget. So we budgeted $600,000 and it looks like we're on pace to hit that again this year. So here's just a breakdown of the revenues for the month of April. Potable water sales was $10.7 million, bringing our year-to-date total to $110,872,000. The total budget for the year is $131 million. So we're about 84% of the budget. We expect it to be closer to 80%. So again, it's showing that we have been selling more water. So it's a good thing to see. Recycled water sales continue to be above budget. So that's the one good sign, but it's not very much money for us. We're at 124%, 125% of what we had budgeted. So we're supposed to be about 85 at this point. SMP fees continue to be less than we anticipated. We're at 60.9%, and we should be at closer to 82 based on what I had budgeted. And then power generation, we're right about where we thought. We're about 70.8. We should be 71.2. So we're very close to where we should be on the power generation. Finally, looking at cash and investments, we had an up month for the month of April. We brought in some additional funds to the tune of over $3 million that had to do with property taxes coming in. This is our second payment for the year. This is the time when we receive it, the April, May. This time it came in April, so we did have extra cash coming in and we're preparing for our bond payments that are coming in July. So we're holding on to it and putting it in late so that it's very liquid for us because we're going to have to draw it back down. And that is all I have for the water use and sales. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Dan. Questions from the board? Director Pacala?
Dan, I'm looking at sheet 19 of 34 water sales, where you show for 3 years, 23, 24, and 25.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have that on this slide, but yes.
Okay, you know what I'm talking.
Yes.
So when I'm looking at these sales numbers from 23 to 24, we have increased, I guess, demand by 8%. And from 24 to 25, demand has gone up by 18%, if you look at the percentage numbers. It's all good news for the revenue side. My question is, even though we had a wet season for the last 3 years, rainfall and snowpack, why is the demand increasing? Is it because there's a growth within some of the purveyor service area, or is it because you put more water into the storage?
I'm not sure it's due to growth. I think it's more due this year because it rained up north, but it didn't really rain here.
Yeah.
And so when it doesn't rain here, purveyors tend to take more water. The customers, the retailers end up taking more water to water their lawns because it's much drier out.
Okay.
And I believe that's really what the cause is for this fiscal year.
Right. If you go 23, 24, that's when we were getting all the rain, so people weren't watering. This year, we're not necessarily pushing conservation as much as
Yeah. And they were coming off,
other years.
we were coming off that drought. We forced them to really conserve during that drought. And then it did all this rain and they continued to conserve and it was wet. So it's taken us 2 years to get back just to this level, mostly because it had been raining here in Ventura County.
Okay, thank you.
Good. So any other questions from the board? Director McMillan, anything?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. And item 2, general manager's goal for the next year. Christine McCaffrey, general manager.
Yes, so the board had, as part of my annual review earlier this year, asked that I assemble some more specific goals. This list is by no means comprehensive. So because I think there are a lot of things that we do and will continue to do that don't make for real good goals. I didn't think you'd want me to come in here with a goal that said continue to deliver water that meets all water quality standards. So I focused here on some activities that are either new, relatively new initiatives, areas of our operations that the board has shown a particular focus and interest in, which is why this is officially titled Highlights of the General Manager's Goals, because I don't mean to imply that this is in any way comprehensive, but I wanted to feature some of the activities and planned activities that are unusual, new, noteworthy, but this is by no means exhaustive. And I certainly don't intend to imply that the other things that we're doing or are continuing to do aren't equally, if not more important. So before I dive into the details of the goals, I just want to refresh everyone's memory on the 3 strategic priorities that we highlighted in the 2023 strategic plan update. As I go through the goals, I will actually tie them to the strategic objectives, which were kind of the more specific sub-bullets under each of these strategic priorities. And that includes, of course, delivering reliable service, both on the potable side and the SMP, as well as our rather small recycled water system, improving resilience, and providing regional leadership. So the first goal I want to highlight is investments in staff training to advance skills and enhance efficiency. One of the things that we're doing is a series of DISC training workshops. If you're not familiar with DISC, it is a specific kind of personality test leadership training that the management team undertook in our retreat earlier this year, and it is what we're proposing to do for a board retreat later this year as well. We actually have 2 workshops have now been held. And we have 2 scheduled. We're getting all of staff in all departments through it are in participating in this training. And to the extent it was possible from a logistics standpoint, keeping departments together, because what's super effective about the DISC training is not only does it help you understand yourself better and what your strengths are and maybe what some of your tendencies are that you need to rein in a little bit, but it also helps you understand your colleagues. So to understand the colleagues that you work most directly with is incredibly valuable. So I've heard so far really positive feedback on the 2 workshops we've held, and there's 2 more scheduled next week. As you know, I am personally a big fan of the Aqua JPIA Leadership Essentials for the Water Industry program. A number of the managers have been through this program, myself, Fernando, Caesar has, and we have 3 staff currently in the program. 2 of them are not here tonight because they need to be in Costa Mesa. Oh, sorry, Wes has done the training too. Charlotte and Jennifer are in the training in the cohort that is tomorrow. Trisha is in a separate cohort. We've got several additional staff that are interested and we plan to submit. I actually learned at the Aqua conference that they typically only take 1 person per agency per year. So we've been very fortunate in that they have allowed us to enroll more than 1 person. And then we've also got some additional training that we're scheduling, emergency response. We have Daniel Cohen here tonight, our emergency response coordinator. Trisha's working on scheduling some writing training for some of the staff, and then generative AI training, how to use it safely, effectively, and that'll tie into another goal I'm going to talk about a little bit later. And this is, as you can see, this hits a lot of our strategic plan objectives. I will not read those on each slide because sometimes there's a lot. We also want to establish our first intern cohort. We have thus far had 2 since, in the recent past, we won't go into the way past, 2 individual interns, one of whom concluded his internship, another of whom is currently shared between Water Resources and External Affairs, Cassie, who I believe the board has met. She just graduated from college over the weekend and she's going to continue her internship part-time through the summer, but then she's going to graduate school. And so what we'd like to do starting in early 2026 is hire 3 interns to start work concurrently, one of whom would be focused on O&M, one on Water Resources, and then one within administration that might be shared among departments. The idea is this will streamline recruitment during the fall career fairs. It's especially important seasonally. Water Resources has a lot of events in the spring. That's when Earth Day is, and a lot of other activities where they really could use that additional support preparing for and staffing the booth at these various events. And it allows us to consolidate general training opportunities. For example, I typically give a salinity management pipeline tour to new employees, including interns. Well, we've got all the interns at once. Plus it gives them kind of a group of individuals who are similar in age and experience or lack of experience to kind of join together. Jen Vasquez, our principal water resources specialist, is one of the people who is working on a lot of our workforce development. And this was a suggestion of hers. It's something that they had employed at one of her previous employers very successfully. So it is a little bit tricky just because finding the right intern has not necessarily been super easy. So getting all of the stars to align with the right candidates at the right time is going to be a little bit tricky, but this is what we're hoping to accomplish. Switching a little bit more to succession planning. We have a number of our construction inspectors here in the room today, and many of them are already eligible for retirement. And so many of them are likely to retire within the next 5 years or so, 4 out of 5. So wow. We've been working on developing an educational program covering inspection basics. Historically, our construction inspectors have come from the O&M crews, very often Diglert specifically. That's been really, really valuable for us. Most recently, Nick joined us from the O&M crews. They already know Calleguas' facilities. They already know our system. And they bring this expertise of what it actually takes to operate a water system that can be extraordinarily valuable during plan review as well as construction to consider the long-term needs of the district. So there's a lot of interest among the O&M staff but it will be open to all Calleguas staff, not just O&M staff. If there's folks in other departments who see a career in construction inspection in their future, they'll be welcome to participate in this educational program. The plan is for this to be monthly 1-hour sessions for 12 months starting this summer. And then as inspectors retire, which we're not encouraging, necessarily. We will then be prepared. That would also give us a pool of folks to utilize for cross-training and for when we need some backup inspectors. That's actually what Nick did on a long-term basis prior to him officially becoming a construction inspector. Also in the kind of workforce part of the operation is we've been working, and by we, I really mean Jen Vasquez, our principal water resources specialist, on a water career video series. They've developed 4 brief 3-minute water career videos, and they're in the final editing phase. In these videos, the interviewees talk about their career path, their responsibilities, their favorite parts of the job, sometimes something funny or embarrassing that happened to them during their careers. So far it has featured Cesar Romero, Senior Project Manager, Katie Maddox, Administrative Assistant in General Services, James Mojica, IT Specialist, who's not with us right now because he's on paternity leave, and Jared Rube, System Maintenance Crew Leader. They all did a fantastic job in these interviews. It's really impressive how these videos have come together. They're so compelling and interesting and well done. So we're hoping to have these ready for launch pretty soon. And we'll obviously share them through our social media channels, at career fairs, maybe with a QR code, presentations with the purveyors, and of course with the board, as well as via media outreach. So we're also budgeting in the next fiscal year for another series of videos focusing on other roles and careers within Calleguas. The ones we've done so far is 1 from engineering, 2 from O&M, and 1 from IT. So we'd like to, get some of the water resources type fields, maybe a construction inspector, maybe someone in finance, to kind of show the breadth of careers that are available to people in water. Of course, we're going to celebrate the fantastic project that we were celebrating earlier. The way this is shaping up, and all of this is in very close coordination with the staff at Las Virgenes, is to have a media and board event at the pump station pressure reducing station. I know we've got a hold on your calendars for a date. It's not confirmed yet. That's I believe it's July 9th. But this would be an opportunity to give the media tours and photo ops. What we've heard from media outlets is they're not interested in ceremonial events. They don't want to see ribbon cuttings and shovel ceremonies, but to actually get to tour the facility and see it up close is a lot more promising now. We're also working on this community appreciation thank you event. It is planned for the afternoon of Thursday, July 24th. And the invitees will include community residents who were impacted by construction, as well as business owners and the permitting agencies that help make this project a success. We will be requiring RSVPs, although it will be free. And the planned structure is some short remarks, some project videos, which probably likely to include the video that Aqua put together for the Clare Hill finalist, and then of course food. So should be a really great event. We're also working on, and once again, I say we, but this is really Charlotte and Kat, doing a newsletter. We're a wholesaler, so we don't have that same direct connection with the customer and the community, but we're really trying to raise our profile and share more information about who we are and why we do what we do and why it's important. So they've been working on this newsletter. We've got kind of a preliminary layout. The goal is to probably start 2 to 3 times a year and then adjust the frequency based on content, bandwidth, level of response we get. It would include features like a little general manager's corner with a little write-up from me, a spotlight on an employee, which also hits at that career workforce development element, water supply update, information about upcoming and recent events, as well as updates on capital projects that might be affecting people in the community. In terms of an ongoing program, we produced our first ever year in review earlier this year to summarize the activities that and accomplishments of 2024. Of course, this was a huge success and plan to continue doing it again this year. We did distribute this in hard copy to elected officials, so the city councils and the boards of our retailers, to the extent they have elected officials, as well as community groups and other stakeholders. And of course, we'd continue to share via our social media channels. Switching to finance, As the Finance Committee heard a couple weeks ago, our last cost of service study was performed in 2016. So we are budgeting in the next fiscal year to perform an updated one that looks at all of the usual charges, as well as looking at potential of additional fixed charges or restructuring our rates in a way that would obviously require analysis and also input from our retail providers. But the plan is, once the board adopts the budget, presumably next month, we would issue an RFP, select a consultant, and get that underway. We are also planning to bring to the board one new position in the fiscal year budget. This is a GIS specialist position. This is something, frankly, I have wanted for 10, if not 15 years. We do have a web-based GIS. It's grounded in the kind of background information we get from the county, which is, the roads and the boundaries of, various jurisdictions, aerial photos and such, but it's pretty slow and clunky and has limited functionality. So we really want to create a position dedicated to GIS to bring that system up to date. It does not accurately reflect all of our facilities, and that has implications, as well as the board knows, you approved a new asset management system. That system is integrated with GIS. So that provides both challenges and opportunities. Challenges in this transition because our GIS isn't where we would like it to be, but as well as opportunities to really leverage that GIS to improve efficiency and accuracy. Plus, it'll assist staff in expanding utilization of GIS for pipeline assessment and other functions. I think this is an area in which there's really a lot of unrealized potential, and we're not where we want to be or could be in terms of utilizing this as a really effective tool. I mentioned a little bit about generative AI training earlier, but in addition to the training, we are looking, and this is a Wes and Ian-led effort to develop our own policy as that's specific to Calleguas, as well as explore training opportunities. There's a really great organization called Innovate US. I don't know if you pronounce that Innovate US or Innovate Us, but it is actually an organization that focuses on training for public agencies. It's all free. They don't just do AI, but that they have really dug into AI. And it's really critical that to the extent AI has an amazing amount of potential as a useful tool to facilitate efficiency, but it can go really terribly wrong, as I'm sure you've read or experienced in your own use of it. So it's super important that everyone understands what the guardrails are. And that includes like what programs can be used, how they can be used, what you can share with them, as well as to what extent you disclose that you've used it. For example, I used it to help create these bullets. It was a little bit of a meta thing to like try to, but all of this is, I verified that all this is correct and I didn't just blindly use it. It is indeed important to have policies to protect sensitive information, ensure accuracy, promote transparency and accountability, and maintain public trust. So this is an area of focus for us moving forward. There is some use within the district already, but as that use expands, I think it's really important that it is expanded in a controlled, logical way and safe way. Also initiating the regional desalter study. This is from the WRIST. It was a no regrets action. We've now had 2 meetings of the regional desalter working group, although it was really, we had 2 meetings because we couldn't get everybody into 1 meeting logistically. So I've got some action items to work on, a memorandum of understanding or an agreement among the parties, as well as put together a draft RFP for those folks to consider. There's a lot of interest amongst a lot of our purveyors, and in fact, more broadly than I might even have guessed. So, and a lot of opportunity here. So that is a big focus, and I'm personally leading up that effort. And with that, those are the ones I wanted to highlight. As I said, that's by no means comprehensive, but I wanted to focus on some of the efforts that I thought were most new, unique, or were in areas that the board had shown a great deal of interest. So that's what I've got.
All right, thank you, Christine. Board?
I really appreciate you bringing the stuff that you do on the behind the scenes kind of in front of us so that we can kind of see how the magic happens. On the AI training, as well, maybe not as important, also important, there's the how to protect yourself with use of AI, but there's also hopefully in the training, how to maximize how you use AI, not just asking it questions, but building models and then giving it conditions to refine all that. So I think that's a very useful thing to do as soon as possible, right?
Yeah, we're planning to launch a pilot, and I don't know if Wes or Ian wants to speak about this because you're more directly involved than I am.
Sure.
Ian?
Yeah, so the way that we're thinking about approaching this right now is as Christine was about to say, start with an iterative pilot program. So we're going to ask managers to go back to their departments and brainstorm with their teams about potential ways to use generative AI, run a 3-month project, a pilot project. And in that, both learn the constraints and what things we need to look out for, but also we anticipate that will lead to additional potential uses. And, if we can do X, Y, and Z with Gen AI that I can think of today, using it based on my experience and the experience of other folks that I know that have used it a lot. Like once you start using it, you start to think about the other potential applications. And as we graduate kind of from putting slides together or doing the first draft of a memo that we might have to write, people may start to think, if I had a model of deliveries over history to these different parts of the organization or these different parts of the service area, what could I learn from that? And that will then, in a few months' time or a couple of years' time, give us an idea of the potential expanded uses of it and applications of it, and then how much we need to invest to make sure that we have a sandbox that's safe to do that kind of analysis. And so, yeah, we recognize that this has the potential to really change and enhance the way that we work and the stuff that we do, but we need to start chipping it away at it as an organization to understand what direction we want to head in and what safeguards we have to put around those directions.
Definitely.
To your point, sooner rather than later.
Yeah, great, awesome. It's exciting.
Dr. McQuady.
I have comments. I just find it protecting sensitive information and ensuring accuracy are kind of to me, the big bells that I have about AI. So
Yeah, absolutely.
that's something pretty interesting.
Yeah, every question you ask, it becomes part of the next person's answer. Right. So you gotta be careful.
I'm assuming there's going to be some investigation on which one to use and what you can and can't say, and assume that the whole world's listening.
Yeah, and we've already started that process.
Sure.
So as part of our quarterly reviews that we do with All Connected, we do investigate the AI usage on our network. And a lot of that usage comes from not our actual district devices, but it comes from people's phones on the guest Wi-Fi and stuff like that. And we've already taken action on that, and all of the high level risk associated numbers that come from Cisco's umbrella service that says they're a high security risk AIs, those are already being blocked as well. So we've blocked out usage already at some level, and the intent with the trainings and what we're planning on doing with setting up this pilot programs is to get us locked into a few platforms, like maybe 4 or 5 is all that we're actually going to be providing the training on, providing access to, and verifying that those are in that secure environment and everything for people to use.
Great. Dr. McMillan, do you have any questions?
No, thank you, though.
Okay. So I have a couple questions. My main question is, these are great goals, but how will we judge your success on these goals? By completion, or what's the metrics thereby to?
I think it varies by goal. So some of these, it will be completion, and some of it, there's a bit of a timing question. And some of it will be by launching the effort.
Launching the effort, okay. Kind of the questions that I thought of during that was for the inspector training. What are inspection basics? What are the basics that are going to be covered during that training?
Yes, President, good question. Typical construction activities like trenching, backfill, pipeline installation, depending on type of pipeline, whether it's welded steel pipe, welding joints, electrical as well, electrical basics for motors, for pumps, grading, soil testing. So that type of general
And
overview.
is there a certification or something official that they can have, or is it just OJT?
This is just going to be an internal program.
Internal.
Yeah, there's certifications available and many of our inspectors are certified as construction inspectors through the American Public Works Association, but that is a more involved endeavor.
Okay. And will we offer the employees time or compensation for attending that type of certification?
Yeah, so the plan is to hold these during the lunch hour. Lunch would be provided and the education would be also during that process.
I mean, if they want to go and get the further
Oh.
certifications that Christine just mentioned.
Yeah, that could be an option that would be provided to anyone who wanted to pursue that additional certification.
My recollection, I'm sure, can someone who actually has that certification, if you don't mind coming up and explaining what's involved in it, because I don't recall if it was, is it experience or testing or some combination thereof?
It's called a CPII, Certified Public Infrastructure Inspectors, and it's not so much tailored to us. It's tailored, but there is aspects of it that are very important to what we do. But it has a lot of different things like ADA stuff that we don't deal with out in the field too much, although we did deal with it on LV interconnection. So we're getting a little bit of everything. And I would say probably half or a little more is tailored to us, but the rest is kind of outside of our realm of.
Was it a test or?
It was a lot of book work and then I guess a test to get the certification. Yeah.
Do you think that whole training took certification?
Well, it's one of our guys was able to pass it right away, but myself, I spent a couple of weeks reading through all the material and that's really all it was. And then passing the test. However, that was quite a few years ago.
Oh.
I don't know how that's morphed over time.
And you did it after you were very seasoned.
Yeah.
Yes, and
But you're right, there's a bunch of things that we don't deal with on a day-to-day, like roads are for us, things that are in the way of excavating for pipelines. Other people are
Yeah.
building roads. So there was kind of this broader base of knowledge you needed to learn because it wasn't part of your day-to-day inspection.
I've heard from one or two of the other guys that it has become more extensive.
Yeah.
And I'm grubbing like years ago, even years and years ago.
Do you believe it was effective in making you a better inspector?
For sure.
Sure.
Absolutely. It's definitely helped and you seem to garner a little more respect even out in the field with some of the other inspectors. Well, how'd you get that? And what does it take? And then they see what it takes. And so not only are you getting the information, you have information that some of these guys maybe don't have. And you garner the respect of these other guys in other agencies. And they look to us for some answers here.
Is that currently a requirement for the position?
It is not a requirement for the position, but it is recognized and appreciated.
But it sounds like it's something that might be beneficial to maybe in the course of the employment of that position to recommend or say, hey, within 6 months or a year, you have to get the certification.
For sure.
Yeah.
And you do have to do contact hours on an ongoing basis to maintain it, similar to an operator's certification.
Be something I think is ish.
Okay.
It's over 4 or 5 years, so you got time to get it in.
Yeah.
The other advantage that might be peripheral is some of the information that's not tailored to us, like for roads and stuff, but is useful for you to have because we do deal with people who build roads and
And sometimes we destroy the roads and then we put them back.
Yeah.
So it's, it makes our staff a lot more versatile, knowledge of peripheral engagements with other efforts.
I agree because we're on this job, like I said, LV interconnection. We haven't dealt with a lot of ADA stuff, American disabilities. And it came in handy. They're working on some of the corners. The corner where we put our meter station, we had to put what's called a truncated dome, which is just basically the bumps that you would roll over. So it's to keep help wheelchairs not roll right out into the street, those kind of things. It's it's kind of a stop, So I wouldn't have known much about that stuff. Had I not taken the course, for sure.
That's great. I'm happy to hear that and I hope we'll make that a requirement.
Thank you.
For answering those questions with
Great.
no warning whatsoever.
That was great. I have a couple more questions. Sorry. benefit of going last, I guess. I know we're doing the media tours, and previously I had thought we were doing kind of ceremony or kind of something like that, but with media tours, my question is there anything in there that's a security risk to be out in camera, that's gonna be out in public?
I don't think so. I don't think there's anything specifically in because it's relevant for tomorrow. We've got media coming out tomorrow. There's nothing in there that I don't think that they can see. Generally, the stuff that we're more sensitive about is anything involving hazardous materials, which there aren't any at the site.
But nothing a terrorist would see and say, hey, look at that, I'm gonna go get that.
No.
Okay, good. All right. And going back with the rate study, just a little piece of information with the thought or the idea of the fixed fees. I learned, well, I hadn't looked at my water bill, I'll be honest, my wife pays it. Simi Valley has fixed fees, $85 a month for water.
Most of our retailers do.
Yeah.
Those fixed fees do vary.
Yeah.
They often are tied to the size of your meter.
Okay.
So that a business, for example, like that uses a lot of water, like say a laundromat or a
Yeah.
restaurant has a larger meter and therefore pays a larger fixed charge. But typically our retailers have a mix, but I would say it varies. I believe you said that LADWP does not have any fixed charge. It's all volumetric. Is that right?
Yeah.
So Ian's an
Yeah.
LADWP customer. So
Oh.
but all of our retailers, at one point, finance assembled all of their rates for me to summarize, and they all had some level of fixed charge, although exactly how it was structured and how much it varied depending on a meter size
Yeah.
varied widely amongst them.
85 a month is not small by any means.
No.
So that was just the thought, something I wanted to share. My last one is about the GIS position, you're creating. How do we get by now? And once the person comes in and works out all the issues or things that we have going on, will that person have enough work to continue to be full-time?
Right now, we get along limpingly, I would say, is that we make it work, but it is inefficient. And you always, very often for facilities, you've got to double check that the information you're looking at is complete. I have no concerns that this person's going to run out of work to do, but Wes is happy to share more information on that.
Yeah, the concern of running out of work could be years down the road because there is that much work that needs to be done. As part of the conversion process that we've been going through to make the asset management system work, some of the features that we did have in our current GIS system are also broken as part of that work too. So that's a lot of the stuff that would have to be repaired and put back together. Seeing things like, like Christine said, there's very little that we had as geolocated items. But those items had links that you could go ahead and click on and would pull up a plan sheet for that particular piece of pipe or that reservoir. That stuff is broken into the new system currently and will all have to be re-put back together. So, the level of assets that we already had in there was large, and now we have to fix those as well as catching up of all of the assets that we do not have in there.
And the idea is we'd also stay on top of new facilities and modified facilities moving forward, as well as once we have a more fully functional GIS, there are a lot of opportunities to improve efficiency by utilizing that tool.
Yeah, the performance aspects that we'll be able to get to utilization for everything for all of our different groups is going to be drastically large in there. There's a lot of people are been wanting to be able to get softwares to integrate with it, be able to pull data in from it or put data into it. And that is what we've been wanting to get to, but without having the staff to be able to handle that, we have not been able to get to that point.
Okay. That sounds like a good deal.
Do you have both crossover fixes and initial data entry? Is that how that?
The history aspect is going to be correlated in as soon as we're done getting it off of the ground and running. So the history that we have in our time management system, which was a custom coded software that was theoretically separate from the GIS database itself. It's technically inside a database, but all of those items are not geolocated. So there's kind of a disconnect between the two. But those are going to be the history will be able to be correlated back in when we're ready to go ahead and pull trigger and put all of the history into the database.
Thank you.
So, thank you, Wes. Last question, the Salter Working Group. Will we be getting kind of updates as you go along?
Yes, of
about
course.
that? Okay, thank you.
Probably as part of broader wrist updates, because it's only one of the many things we're working on in the rest. It's just the one I chose to highlight in this presentation.
I'm very interested in that one, so I look
I'm
forward to
well-
frequent updates.
Fair enough.
Thank you. All right. Did I take up all the questions? Anything else? All right. Thank you, Christine, and thank you, staff. Moving to general counsel report.
Yeah, a brief update. I attended the Legal Affairs Committee meeting at the Aqua Conference. One of the interesting things that came out of it is I was volunteered and then fully volunteered to be on a working group with respect to limiting the potential liability of water districts for inverse condemnation after a fire event. What I mean by that is, as a result of the Palisades fire, you heard a lot in the news about their system being designed insufficiently to deliver water to the area where the fire was the worst. Then years ago, there was a case in Yorba Linda where a fire burned through some wiring and prevented a pump from being able to deliver water in a fire event. So what's happening in those situations is after the fire event, after the damage has occurred, plaintiff's attorneys come out and they sue the water district saying your system was as deliberately designed and constructed was insufficient to address this fire. And they sue for what's called inverse condemnation, saying if you had done a better job, my property would not have been taken. You've taken my property, and part of the issues in inverse condemnation is the plaintiffs can get expert costs, investigation costs, all of that in addition to their damages. So this working group wants to take a look to see if there's a legislative way to address maybe the definition of water service and what is supposed to be expected in the instance of a fire to kind of help prevent people from being able to sue for inverse after a fire. So as things develop in that regard, I'll let you guys know. But I left there as part of a working group. So,
Congratulations. Thank you.
yeah.
Hey, we got have we had any committees
Not since the last board meeting.
since the last board meeting? Hey, Aqua Region 8 Director?
Okay, I won't go through the entire agenda, but I'll just say that the things that were called out, first of all, the chair fellows introduced Director McMillan and the new board member on the Region 8 board. And then called out the Region 8, 9, and 10 combined event will be happening on November 14th. And also called out was the work that WELL was doing. This is the Water Education for Latino Leaders. And that was recognized as a significant thing. So I guess I'll just leave it at that. Director McMillan, do you have anything to add? Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Director Quady. Moving on to JPIA.
Okay, and so the Aqua JPIA was May 12th through 13th, and the full program highlights are the liability program, which renews on October 1st. We have a hardened market and increasing large losses continue to impact pricing. This program will have a 7.5% rate increase in 2024-25. Property program, which renews July 1. Again, a hardened market, global catastrophic events like the wildfires, severe convective storms, and a few large losses continue to impact pricing. This would be a 15% rate increase in 2024-25. Workers' comp renews July 1st. Rates have remained flat or decreased over the last 11 years. So this will be a 5% rate decrease in 2024-25 with a 2-year rate guarantee for reinsurance. Then the employee benefits program renews January 1. And I guess I said medical costs partially related to inflation continue to increase, expected to continue rate increases in future years. Insured program rate changes range from flat to 25%. 2025 rates for self-funded PPO program are plus 10%. Self-funded dental vision programs are flat. And then getting on to something that we already just talked about, but this is the CEO update, is that JPIA is looking into the impact of AI on operations, establish standards of accuracy, enabling strategy, current and future implementations. So sounds interesting. And then the CWIF update, 57% of the quarters since inception have become positive in terms of increased income. It's earned is 39.3 million. Dividends paid to JPIA from CWIF, 18.7 million. And the current yield from inception was 6.35%. On June 25th, the CWIF will consider a dividend approval up to 22 million. And that's the JPIA report.
Thank you, Director Quade. I had one update from the JPIA, kind of something that I noticed was so many of the things that are causing health insurance to go up are preventable, right? Weight gain, high cholesterol, blood sugar, and that sort of stuff. And it made me think back to when I used to work for Northrop Grumman. They used to offer discounts on gym memberships. And I was just wondering, Director Quaid, do you know if they've ever brought that up, kind of fitness plans for members?
I know they have had like workplace stuff.
Yeah.
That they've recommended and training programs for that. And they'd actually give awards for workplaces that encourage that kind of physical activity. But that's like work site.
Yeah, because so at Northrop Grumman, what they used to do was you see the nurse and they had the nurse would sign you up for 24-hour fitness, for example, and then say we're going to take it out of your paycheck. It's only $10 a month or something like that. It was reduced, but it was to increase morale and also kind of preventative care, right? So I don't know, just thought it was a good idea and maybe something to be worth looking into.
Yeah, no, I know they have had those programs and I just don't know if it's like one of those cyclical things where you hear about it more from certain people and then it kind of goes away and attention then comes back, but it's still a part of the fixed program. It'd be interesting to see employee benefits. They do cover that area. I'm pretty confident.
Okay. That'd be good. Okay, thank you, Director Quady. AWA.
There was no board meeting since our last meeting, but there was a it wasn't called water.
It was water issues on Tuesday.
Yeah, Water Issues Committee meeting. The focus topic was new agricultural water quality regulations, challenges and opportunities. It was fascinating.
Okay. Fox Canyon.
There was no GMA board meeting since we met last time.
Thank you. Director McMillan, Met report.
Yes, on May the 8th, I joined the North Caucus via Zoom. May the 9th, we had our Weymouth inspection trip at Laverne, very successful. May 12th and 13th, I attended MWD's committee and board meetings via teleconference from Monterey. And you can see the list of consent items and all. We covered quite a bit of material. And then on May the 14th, I attended a policy briefing at the Portela Hotel in Monterey. The same day, I attended Aqua Region 8 meeting in Monterey Marriott. And on May 21st, DCP Construction Board meeting.
Thank you, Director McMillan. I want to say I love the report. It's great. Kind of really gives the board an insight onto the happenings and ongoings of your work at Metropolitan. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, for LAFCO, it's me on next. I did have LAFCO this morning. And we we approved the resolution making determinations and approving Ojai Valley Sanitation District. No, that's not it. Where is it? Where is it? Okay, here we go. We approved the MSR for Channel Islands Beach Community Service District. And also the sphere of influence review for Channel Islands Beach Community District. It was a very quick meeting, record of 23 minutes. Very, very quick one. And, yeah, it took me longer to drive there. All right. Ventura County Regional Energy Alliance.
There was no Inter-County Regional Alliance board meeting since we had our board meeting last time.
Okay, VCSDA.
No meeting since the last board meeting.
Thank you. Okay, next up is a list of admin code reimbursable meetings. Director Robert.
Let me grab my phone list because my handwriting is struggling. Since the last board meeting, the Aqua Spring Conference, 12th to 15th. On the 20th, like I said, AWA Water, and tonight's board meeting.
Thank you. Director Pacala.
Yes, I attended MWD infrastructure tour. Our board member on Metropolitan, Dr. McMillan, she and another board member sponsored it. We had several of our Calleguas staff also go on the tour. This was my first time I went on the infrastructure tour. It was very good. We got to see the Eagle Rock Control Center. It was right in the middle of the fire zone, but I guess they are going to be relocating it pretty soon because of the location. So there's a.
I don't think they're relocating. I think they're expanding their backup options because of.
Oh, they are. I thought they're constructing a new. Okay. Maybe.
And I think they're improving their fireproofing at that particular location because it is tucked back in the canyon where it's pretty vulnerable.
And also, it was good to see Weymouth treatment plant in Laverne.
Yes.
It's a big facility. They produce enough electrical power. I was surprised to see for entire treatment plant. The on-site electric plant, solar panels. I also got a tour of their lab. It was very fascinating to see all these PhDs, professors tell us.
Well, then the tour was given by Dr. Paul Rochelle, who runs the whole water quality section. So we got the best of the best as the tour guide.
Yeah. We also got to see fabrication workshop. It's so huge. I mean,
take your word for it.
It's
I would have liked it.
So anyway, it was a long day from 6 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. I want to thank Dr. McMillan for arranging and taking us on a tour.
Thank you, Director Pacala.
Oh, today's board meeting. I'm
Today's board.
attending right now.
Director Quady.
May 11th through the 14th, Aqua JPIA and tonight's board meeting.
Thank you. Director McMillan.
Yes, May 11th to 15th, Aqua Spring Conference in Monterey, May 19th to the 21st, the CSDA Legislative Days in Sacramento. And the Ventura County team really knocked it out of the park. I think CSDA staff was very pleased how everyone just smoothly melded all the items we need to talk about together and give real life examples of how these bills would be impacting our agencies. And we had the opportunity to go to the offices of Stern, Limon, Bennett, and Irwin, which was great. And then today, the CMDA board meeting by teleconference from Sacramento.
Thank you, Director McMillan. Okay, since the last board meeting on the 8th, I attended over Zoom the Smith Road tank scoping meeting. And again, we only had one person call in. The 11th through 15th was the JPIA Aqua. On the tonight's board meeting and LAFCO today. And that's it for me. Okay, let's see, discussion regarding upcoming meetings to be attended by board members.
Can I highlight a few things on this?
Sure.
Okay, so tomorrow will be a very busy day here in this room. We are hosting AWA WaterWise, which will be a very timely update on the Delta Conveyance Project in light of the proposed budget trailer bill by the governor that will expedite and streamline permitting for that. The event had sold out based on the original capacity, so Kara figured out how to reconfigure the room so that we can accommodate more folks in person. I don't know that that's ever happened before that Aqua sold out. And then we'll be flipping the room quickly for our purveyor meeting at 10. We're going to be focused on operations. Got Wes giving a couple of presentations on how the turnouts work, their various flow modes, the purveyor website, and then a plant tour. Looking further on June 3rd, we've got a O&O Operations and Organization Committee meeting. The agenda for that will include the new position, the GIS position, as well as a couple of the reclassifications we're proposing. It also includes kind of an explanation of our monitoring for quagga mussels and other invasive species in the lake, which does include a boat tour. So I do need to know in advance which of the board members other than the committee members are planning to attend, because the boat is a finite resource. So you don't need to tell me right now who's going, but if you're a non-committee member and planning to attend, if you could please let me know by early next week, because that'll determine, we have enough room for the whole board if need be, but it'll impact how many staff we can then have on the boat.
What day is that?
It is Tuesday, June 3rd at 3 p.m. There's also an engineering and construction committee meeting the previous day at the LV interconnection. We're less capacity constrained there. And then I think we have settled on a date for the board retreat. Is that correct, Kara?
We have. I'm just waiting to hear back from.
Okay, can you send out a hold for everyone's calendar just with TBD for locations?
Sure.
What's that? What's that date?
I'm sorry?
What's that date?
September 17th.
Oh, right.
Quick update on the my potential availability for the Operations and Engineering Committee on the 3rd. I have been asked to go support a ship in Alaska on that week. I might be flying out that day. Anyway, that's just a quick update.
Okay. And you're on the committee?
I am.
Okay, so you and Director Quady are the committee. Anyone recall offhand who's the alternate on that committee?
Yes, that's Director Pakal, I believe.
Yes.
But
I think so.
But I have not made travel arrangements. It's not cemented in yet. Just kind of something to watch out for.
Okay, so you would be available if Director Avila has to travel?
Yes.
Okay, I mean, you're welcome to attend. It's just whether you attend as the committee member or as another board member who is present and silent.
Okay. Request for future agenda items.
Okay, I received information from 2 board members that is relevant to discuss right now. The first is that Director Quady has requested that we agendize his nomination to the Region 8 board, or she is already on. Those nominations would be due in late June.
June 20.
And so we'd like to agendize that for the June 4th board meeting. And then Director Bacala had a couple of suggested changes to the agenda structure, which I will ask that he explain.
Sure. As I was reviewing today's agenda, I thought maybe we could add 2 more items on our regular agenda. And one of the items already there could be renumbered. So I'll explain what those are. And the main reason I'm proposing these additions are to have a better transparency for the people who are attending remotely and also for the people who are in attendance. So if we were to make changes to the agenda, when that's going to happen. So the first item is we could add item 3 as the agenda review. if you look at our current board's agenda after public comments, my thought about agenda review, time to time, either general manager or the president of the board would change or reconfigure, may pull the item, but if you have an agenda there, we know when that's going to be done, even before the meeting starts. That is the main reason why if you have list as a review agenda as part of that review, then anybody could say, okay, I have a suggestion, maybe can we pull this back? Or if somebody says, I need more information, maybe that's the right time for us to have that done.
Okay.
That's one recommendation. The other recommendation is as we go through our reports, if you see at the end where item C, Board of Directors, which is 7C, we have 7C, 1, 2, 3, 4, I believe, yeah, 4. So item 4, which is a request for future agenda items, which we are talking right now, really, I don't think belongs in that board reports. We could have maybe item by itself, just listed as a separate item.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would just become item 8
or whatever number you.
and then the other ones would get pushed to.
And the other suggestion or thought I have is we could add one item for board comments. When I was going through all of these items, if a board member wants to make a comment about something that's not on the agenda, I don't know where they would talk about it. Some thoughts that came to my mind were if there are some officials in the county level or the city level, special districts, let's say if I go there and if they have big ceremony for awards, if I want to share that with the board, there's no place I can tell you that on the agenda. So if you say board comments, I would just say board comments as an item itself, board can make comments. Those are my thoughts.
Okay. Those are some good ideas. My question would be, do we need to agendize it and agree as a board to do this, or could it be something that we work kind of, I think the agenda is decided currently in the admin code by the general manager and the chair, right?
Yes. So the reason I raise this when Director Pacala raised these things with me is I wanted the board to conceptually agree to these changes before I implemented them. So we didn't end up with a situation where maybe the board members had different outlooks on this. So we don't need a formal board action to make these changes. But if the board wants these changes made, I wanted kind of general consensus among the board before I proceeded with the changes.
One I would be interested in hearing is from council before we agendize it or recommend to change is the board comments. It can seem pretty vague and it kind of opens up a lot of room for potential issues, right?
Right, we will have to work with that. We will have to fine tune that a little bit, the board comments issue, because your statement was just that if there's not something on the agenda, there's not an opportunity for the board to comment on it. The Brown Act favors everything that's going to be talked about being put on the agenda. So to have just a kind of generic board comment section does raise some potential Brown Act issues, but maybe we can, this format of agenda has developed over time. It wasn't like this 3 or 4 years ago. It changed over time. Nothing is absolutely set in stone. So we can try it. And if we need more particularity or more specificity, we can figure out a way to do that.
Yeah, I think for myself, besides that particular one, I would be okay agendizing it and potentially adding them. That one seems kind of worms.
And the only place I've seen that before was with VC REA. They actually have.
Oh, they have that.
Meeting begins, then they have board comments, and usually like it's somebody talking about a news article or something and stuff. So I have seen it before. I just don't know what those rules are.
Could it be listed as something like board updates?
Well, excuse me. As a matter of fact, County Board of Supervisors has an item. Box Cannon has an item.
Yeah.
Every place there's a board comments.
I can work with the general manager to take a look at those other entities see how they do it, perhaps look at some of their minutes, what kind of comments are generated, and see if we can make it work for our entity as well.
And I guess an example of what types of things you would discuss is this conversation right now. This is the type of thing that we would discuss. Hey, I wanted to bring up, maybe this or that. So.
Well, but then how would that go with the future agenda items? I mean, this potentially has that too, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, let's check what the other entities do for those general comments, and we always try to implement best practices. So if we see any concerns or issues about the way Fox Canyon or someone else is doing it, it may raise that issue as well.
So is the direction from the board then to add the agenda review item and to change the structure on the future board agenda items to kind of?
Could we do a conditional if there's no issues from council?
Well, this isn't an action item, so we can't vote on it.
No,
But I
just
think-
asking for general consensus.
I think general consensus. You do.
I see.
Have general manager look at it.
Well, as the council said, they can look at other agendas, see how they have been handling it. This has been done common in other agencies.
Yeah. Can we put it on the agenda to discuss and move on next?
Or we could structure the agenda that way and it's a pilot and the board can see how they like it. And as district council noted, the agenda format and structure is not carved in stone. It is something that can be revised and revised again. But if the board wants to try these changes, we'll try them out and the board can later say, now we'd like to go back or we don't.
I just want to remember the board that current topic is future agenda items. So this was brought up as a future agenda item.
Good.
We're not voting this. That would be against the Brown Act. Let's put it on the future agenda.
Those are items to be added to the future agenda, right?
Yeah.
Or is the agenda modification a future agenda item?
It's a future agenda item.
Okay.
I don't know if it's an item, it's just a listing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think since the board doesn't officially need to take action on this, and we're talking about future agenda items / structure, I think district council will grant us the flexibility there. I think we can come to an agreement that will pilot the potential changes and then the board can provide feedback at subsequent meetings.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
All right, sounds good. Any information items?
Not tonight.
Oh, good. Information items, that kind of sounds like comments. All right, closed session. All
Yes,
right.
just for a logistical note, we will be doing closed session in this room. So the folks who need to stay for closed session, please stay. Folks who are not part of closed session, thank you for joining us.
All right, and
We'll see you
with
later.
that, 5 minutes, closing open session and reopening closed session in 5 minutes. Okay, and with that, closed session is adjourned and open session is in session.
The board received an update and no action was taken.
The board received an update and no action was taken. Thank you, everybody, and we are adjourned.